Hey, what's up guys, it's Graphic Phoenix back with another video today, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to set up a springtail culture, or in my case I'm setting up 8 springtail cultures. And if you guys are excited for this video and want to follow me elsewhere, you guys can shoot me a follow on Instagram and Facebook. Those are the two main platforms where I post, of course, also here on YouTube. But before we go into setting up the actual cultures, I actually really want to talk to you guys about what springtails are and why they're useful in your vivarium. At a very basic level, springtails are detritivores. So they're going to be eating things like decaying plant matter, molds, waste, pretty much all the things that make them perfect for a vivarium. Now, with that being said, their cleaning prowess is not the only thing that makes them useful in your vivarium. They're also extremely useful as a food source for your little froglets, or even your larger frogs will eat them as well. The combination between the cleanup crew aspect and the feeding perspective makes them a quintessential part to add to your vivarium. With that being established, we should really get into what I'm using, why I'm using it, and I'm kind of running a test as well. So if you're watching this several months after I post it, I'll leave a link, hopefully up here if I remember, for you guys to go check out the update on these cultures and see what my updated thoughts are. Getting into the experiment though, I really want to experiment between 3 sources of carbon. I know there are some people that set up their springtail cultures in coconut core. You can use hydroballs, you can use pretty much any very porous media. However, my, I guess, substrate of choice is charcoal or carbon. So with that being established, why don't we get into all the things that you're going to need for your springtail cultures. Obviously, if you're going to be setting this up, you can just pick one of the 3 sources of carbon / charcoal, but other things you're going to need is definitely a place to house them. As you can see, these are, I believe, 16-ounce containers. So these are just plastic containers that you can either recycle from places like Safeway and stuff that sell the bulk olives and know they have them there. And not only can you find that size there, you can also find these 8-ounce containers where they have those there as well. If you plan on making a lot of cultures, or you have other uses for these, I actually buy a 50-pack of them at a place like Superstore Wholesale here in Calgary. That's where we can find them. That's the containers, and to go with the containers, obviously you're gonna need some lids. Other things that I've used before is like shoe tubs. You can use 8-quart tubs. You can use as big of a container as you really want. However, just know that with a larger container, you're going to have to use a lot more media, as well as it's going to be a little bit harder to get the springtails out, if that is the case. Now in this video, I'm going to be using 3 different carbon sources. So this is just carbon pelletized. I don't know what to call it, but you can see here the container. It is actually made by a company that I work for, Pisces. This is their brand of activated carbon. I don't know how well this is actually going to work. That's my experiment. I'm seeing if this will actually work. Another thing I've never used before is the Flooville Carbon. So this is just the standard stuff that you buy in your filters, that comes in your filters, that you replace every month. It's just standard activated carbon, nothing special. And as you can see, I buy a huge tub of it because I actually put this in all my substrates as well. And the last one that a lot of people may not have heard of is this stuff here, and this is the lump charcoal. So you can go and buy a big bag of this. This is used for like barbecuing and whatnot. Obviously, what I've done is actually taken a hammer to it and smash it into little pieces. Then what I did was rinse it, boil it, and then rinse it again, which is a little bit of a process, and I understand if you guys don't want to do that. So this way it is a little bit more involved, but this is also the cheapest way of doing anything with any like carbon charcoal kind of deal. If you're looking for the most cost effective, this is definitely it. The Flooville costed $30, and the activated carbon, the 750 milliliter container of it, costed me, I think, about $10. I've used this in all my other springtail cultures. I know this stuff works, so this is going to be kind of my fail-safe product. If nothing else here works, then that's the stuff to go with. In addition to what you see here, you're actually going to need a source of springtails. So whether that's you buy some from like places like Josh's Frogs, or if you're in Canada like Jungle Jewel, or I guess myself, if maybe I make enough to start selling them, then you guys can purchase some. Make sure you have some on hand, and before you seed your terrarium, you can actually start a bunch more cultures. What I would do if I was you, I would buy 2 cultures of springtails, buy 1 to add to your vivarium that you're about to be building or you're about to set up, and buy a second one to start a whole bunch more cultures with. And then the other thing you're going to need is a source of water. Ideally, you have like RO water or something like that. It's just the most pure form of water, so there's no contamination or anything like that. But honestly, you really don't need RO water. I have filtered water that has 0 TDS in it, so I'm going to be using that, but you certainly do not have to have it. Now that we've established what we're going to be using to set up these cultures, now it's time to actually do it. I'm just going to blast through this. So I'm going to be doing 1 cup of media per 8-ounce container, and then I'll probably do 1.5 to 2 cups for the large containers, the 16-ounce containers. In the 16-ounce, I'm going to do the pelletized and the lump charcoal, and then I'll be doing 2 of the 8-ounce containers for all 3 medias. Alrighty, and now we've filled them all up. Now I'm going to add my filtered water. This is just important to provide. You want to have it so you're filling it about a couple millimeters. You don't want a ton of water in there, but you definitely want enough to where the charcoal can soak it up and keep it humid in this environment. So now that I've kind of gone through the setup of the various different containers and the substrates that I'm using, I should kind of go ahead and do some predictions. Honestly, I think the 2 that are going to do the best are the pellets and the lump charcoal, mainly just because I know the lump charcoal, it seems to work very, very well. This is like my go-to. This stuff just has enough space in there for a lot of springtails to mosey around and have a ton of surface area, probably even more than the lump charcoal itself. And I think the carbon, the Flooville Carbon, will actually do the worst, only because the surface area is so high and there's so much contact between each granule that I don't think the springtails will actually have a lot of place to get into unless they're little babies. That's just my predictions for this experiment. We'll see in a couple months as to whether I am right or not. If I am, great. If not, I guess that's what experiments are for. So here we are ready to see the springtail cultures. This is my master culture. These are going to be the cultures that I'm making from them, as you just saw me set up. And what I'm going to be doing is trying to go kind of evenly. I'm only going to show you guys seeding really 1 of these. Just seeding 1 of these should be enough for you guys to get the idea. But basically, and I just fed these guys today, you can see just how many there are in here. There are thousands of springtails in here. What I'm going to be doing is probably transferring 1 of those lump charcoal bricks into each of the new springtail containers. Why don't we get started? I'm going to open up my master culture here. I'm just going to simply reach in here, grab 1, place it in there, and you guys can see that is now a seeded culture. The springtails will take a little while to kind of venture out and go around and actually explore the whole, I guess, area. But right off the bat, that is good enough. I'm going to throw it in there, stick it in there, and that is a seeded culture. That wraps up the video, you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you learned something, make sure you drop a like on the video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, leave them in the comment section below. I try to answer every single comment that I get, or at least like it or something. So if you have any questions about life, school, making cultures, definitely leave it down there, and that is where you get an answer. If you guys want to follow me more closely, I do have, like I said in the beginning, an Instagram and a Facebook, so you guys can go check that out. And if you guys want to see more dart frog, plant, reptile, amphibian related content, then definitely click that subscribe button and play Ding Dong Ditch with the doorbell next to it. That way you get notified every time I post a video or go live. So yeah, you guys have a great rest of your day. I want to thank you guys very much for watching, and Graphic Phoenix, out of here.